20-plus-year UAW member Brian Paniker.
Thanks. Thank you, Victoria. I would echo a couple of the things that Congressman James just pointed out, and that is that nobody is really against the manufacturers, the domestic car companies developing the technology. I think there's probably a natural progression that would go through hybrids, which don't require a big infrastructure, which we currently do not have out there. Hybrids, you'd be able to plug it in overnight, use it for short trips around town. But when you wanted to take that vacation up north, you could, you could rely on gasoline or diesel, whatever. And the government, whenever it gets involved, and I'm no economist, but I do know the difference between capitalism and socialism. And whenever the government gets involved and starts dictating what private industry should do, they mess things up. So what we're saying is the membership, and on the point of unions, I have to make a distinction. There's the union leadership who's been in bed with the Democrat Party for decades, and then there's the union membership, two distinctly different groups. The membership are people like myself. Currently, I'm retired, and so I'm on a fixed income, and I'm affected probably more than the guys who are still working. When they have overtime available, they're able to make more money. I'm currently retired and don't have a retiree part-time job. So when inflation jumped up under the Biden-Harris administration immediately, I felt it. We felt it in our household. I go grocery shopping with my wife a lot of the times. I, like everybody else, pull into the gas station a couple times a week. So I saw prices at the pump almost double, from a couple bucks a gallon up to almost $4 a gallon. So I know enough about economics to realize that when you change policies on day one, like the Biden-Harris administration did, it affects working people, it affects retirees, it affects folks on fixed incomes or people that are not making six figures, like a lot of the union bosses and the elites who are making these laws in Washington, D.C. do. So it's just a matter of government staying out of the private marketplace, allowing the marketplace to work. So when the demand becomes high enough, the products will be developed, the infrastructure will be built out. We don't want to see the government stepping in like they do in socialist or communist countries and trying to run everything, because we know what that means. Everybody sinks down to a lower level, and it really hurts everyday people. So that's really the difference right now between the Kamala Harris candidacy and Donald Trump's candidacy. Trump is more of a nationalist. Kamala Harris has shown herself to be a globalist, even a socialist, and the Democrats are not afraid of that word anymore. 15, 20 years ago, they might have been pushed back if you called them socialists, but now they kind of wear that label proudly. And one revealing thing about Kamala Harris is she was in briefly in the primaries during 2019, trying to get the nomination during the 2020 election cycle. Well, in the primary, she was running with all Democrats, and she was the most extreme liberal in that group. So she exposed all of her liberal positions. And if you go back and look at some of them, she was for eliminating gas-powered cars totally, 100% by 2035. And there was a real high number that had to hit that mark. The manufacturers had to hit a real high number by 2032. Well, that's right around the corner. So if you look at her positions, her real positions, not the ones she's claiming to have now, go back to the 2020 primary campaign, and you will see that she is a socialist. She is a Marxist. She's not a moderate like Biden always portrayed himself to be, and the mainstream media went along with that charade. He revealed himself when he got elected and took office. But the same is true of Kamala Harris. She is an extremist economically, she is a socialist. So look at her 2019 primary campaign if you want to know where her real ideals are. And she said herself, my values have not changed. So go look at her 2019 policy positions. She won't even put them on her 2024 campaign because she knows people will not vote for it. That's why she was the first person out of the primaries in 2019. She didn't get one delegate. So as a retiree, a retired auto worker, I totally understand how the membership feels. I totally understand how the general consumers out there feel. And I know that the policies of the Biden-Harris administration hurt workers, they hurt retirees, they hurt the general population and consumers. And when everybody gets a chance to finally look at her real policy positions, now that we're going to be past Labor Day and people really zero in on this, they're going to see that Kamala Harris is a socialist, and socialism will not work in a market economy.
Thank you so much, Brian. All right, now I'm going to move on to Isaiah Goddard, who is a current UAW member and employee.
Thank you, Victoria. Thank you very much. Before I get started here, I just want to thank Congresswoman McClain and Congressman John James for their fantastic work, their great hard work that they are doing for us here. They're fighting very hard for us, and we're going to win because they have our backs, and they're not going to stop fighting for us. They get up on stage, they do a great job, and they like to say, God bless us and God bless America. I just want to take a second to say, God bless you, Congresswoman McClain, and God bless you, Congressman John James. Thank you very much for everything you do.
Thank you.
As a UAW auto, I'm a third generation auto worker. My grandfather started with my grandfather, who was very high up in the UAW leadership. So you can only imagine how he feels me supporting President Trump. It's not very good. But it means a lot to me that he gets reelected because the Kamala Harris and Biden administration, they want to push these electric vehicles onto us workers. They're bringing them into the plants. And I worked in the electric battery department where we were building the all electric. I actually work at the plant, Rossumville Components and Parts Plant. We build the all electric F-150 Lightning battery. And I was laid off in that department many times for different things. And it's not good. Right now, I'm in the hybrid department. We're booming pretty well. We're doing very well. Our numbers are high. They're only going to increase, and jobs are going good there. That's the way to go. I mean, take a look. Ford, and President Trump, by the way, he said, don't do it. Don't go. He tried to warn the auto industry. He told them, he said, don't go the all electric route because it's going to cause problems for your company. You're going to lose money. And look what happened. Ford is scrapping their plans for a new all-electric SUV because of that. And, it's a bummer to me that the UAW, they don't want to reach across the aisle. They don't want to talk to President Trump. It bothers me as a UAW worker. Why not? Why won't you reach across the aisle? Isn't that the whole point? Look at the Teamsters. They came to the RNC. The president spoke at the RNC. Fantastic guy, because he wants to reach across the aisle. He says, I'm going to go with somebody I'm going to have somebody's back who has our backs, who wants jobs, who wants more money in our paychecks, different things like that. But the UAW, they don't want to do it. President Trump, I remember going to Drake Enterprises during the UAW strike. And President Trump said, President Fain, I'll meet with you. I want to talk to you. If I was president, all you would have to do, sir, is sit back and relax and watch the auto industry boom. Watch UAW jobs increase. But President Fain sits back and goes, oh, no, I can't. No. I can't meet with you. No, because you're rich. You have too much money. You're a rich billionaire. You don't, A, B, C, D. And it's ridiculous. I mean, he wears a shirt that says, eat the rich. but he's friends with Bernie Sanders. And Bernie Sanders, that guy's got a lot of money. So where are we getting at here? I mean, it's a double standard, really, if you ask me. So my point is, when President Trump was in office, I was making more money. Gas prices were lower. Jobs were through the roof. And under Kamala Harris, people are being laid off. People are losing their jobs. Gas prices are high. And I don't even want to talk about what's going on with our border right now, because it's very sad. And those, you know, it's very sad what's going on there. Kamala Harris, you know, she was asked have you ever visited the border before? And she said, I haven't even been to Europe yet. That's just ridiculous. We're talking about the United States of America here, and you said you haven't even been to Europe yet. Unreal. But it means everything to me that President Trump gets reelected, because I know that my job will be secure. I know that President Trump won't force anything onto us. I know that I'll make more, and I know that America will be great again under him, and it's going to be amazing to see him under there. By the way, really quickly, when I went to Drake Enterprises, I had the honor of meeting President Trump. One of the greatest honors ever to get a chance to just thank him. Thank you, sir, for your hard work and for your fight against the Democratic Party. And I was excited. And then very next day, I posted a picture on my Facebook. I posted a picture, and I was very happy. And my fellow UAW leadership, they went bananas. They were like, how could you, you can't have that up there. You can't, how could you take a picture with President Trump and you're a UAW member? That guy is the most anti-union president. You got to take that down. You can't have that up there. And they were telling me that I could not have a picture with President Trump up there. I have to take it down. A buddy of mine who was in the UAW leadership, he said, I just can't be around you anymore. If you have that picture up there, Isaiah, I can't, because I don't want to risk, you know, going down with you. And it was sad. It was very sad, but we need President Trump back in there because our jobs are at risk. And we need him back in there, because when he gets back in there, America's going to be safe again. It's going to be strong again, and it's going to be great again. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Isaiah. Before we move on to our last speaker, Chris Vitale, who has 30 plus years with the UAW, I just want to say that we will try to take 1 or 2 questions afterwards, and you can type your questions into the Q&A section. So just have that prepared for following Chris, because I want to be respectful of everyone's times. Chris, the floor is yours.
Okay. Well, my name's Chris Vitale, and like Isaiah, I am also a third-generation auto worker. Actually, both my grandparents, one of whom was also a founding member of UAW Local 212. If the cameras were on right now, you'd see I'm wearing my red UAW Local 412. Local 412 does the R&D for Stellantis. We are the hands of the engineers. I work with this technology every day. My background is in prototype and testing, worked at the Arizona Proving Grounds. 30-year career with Chrysler, had a lot of great stops along the way. But I am also, because I love this industry, I am a student of history. I enjoy history, from the brass era to Hellcats. Okay, and I will tell you, Congressman James mentioned shadows of 2007. I see those, but I even see shadows of the 1970s, where government mandates stuck us with an uncompetitive supply side driven mandate called CAFE, where we're supposed to compete globally, and we're the only nation in the world that tells its manufacturers what to build. Okay, well, this is supposed to be America. We've got to compete with Europe, where Mercedes can build as many 10 mile per gallon S-classes as it wants to, but Cadillac is forced to build 28 mile per gallon front wheel drive Cadillacs throughout the 80s. A disaster, something that mortally wounded our domestic auto industry. And now I see these mandates for EVs as just more of the same. You know, Congressman James also mentioned that right now these mandates are unattainable. Well, I'm a numbers guy. I work on the engineering side. I'll tell you right now, the 2027 standard, 2027, by the way, is nothing in the auto industry. It takes years and years to launch a product. It has to be tested. It has to be certified. All kinds of work has to be done. 2027, the standard is 170 grams per mile for CO2. Right now, the Ford Escape Hybrid, which is a 3-cylinder vehicle, it's a very modest vehicle. It's a hybrid. It scores 220 grams per mile. So you have probably the best selling hybrid that Ford builds, probably one of the most efficient, the smallest, and it doesn't meet the 2027 standard. In 2032, the standard goes down to 85 grams per mile. That's a margin of 2.5 times what they're attaining right now in the space of about 7 years. Absolutely ridiculous, unattainable. The whole idea that, oh, we're going to let the market decide this and the companies are free to just pursue efficient internal combustion is absolute nonsense. It's like saying you can play in an NBA game, but you have to take your shots from a locker room. It is absolutely ridiculous. It is shadows of the 1970s. We are going to mortally wound our automakers while we have an ascendant China right now. BYD is a Chinese company that's selling in Mexico, basically testing the waters of North America. I have every confidence they'll be here if the Harris administration is elected, and they will come in and dominate us. They sold more vehicles than Tesla last year. They are poised. I don't know who owes who a favor to allow these foreign companies to come in here and deliver the death blow to our auto industry that we've been dying of death of 1,000 cuts for 40 years. So I will say that on every issue related to manufacturing, I have been with Donald Trump 100% of the way. He was the only guy except, by the way, for a handful of Democrats. Democrats used to talk about these kind of issues. We used to have presidential candidates. Dick Gephardt used to campaign on the unfair barriers to trade for our auto companies to be able to export to Europe and Asia. They used to campaign on that. He's history now. They don't talk about it anymore. We have a New York real estate mogul who somehow knows more and talks more about manufacturing than any Democrat candidate and, frankly, any Republican candidate. Anyone who thinks Donald Trump is a conventional Republican has been asleep for the last 8 years. So it's really sad to think that the UAW has become such a mafia, and I'm Italian, so I can use that word, has become such a mafia of closed-minded, cult-like, we must do what the Democrats tell us to do. I don't know any situation or for any group where that's ever worked well to pledge an automatic loyalty. When the writing's been on the wall for the last 40 years, they've done nothing for you. So I'm definitely going to stand with the president who at least acknowledges these issues and tries to do something about them.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Chris. All
Sure.
right. If any members of the press have a question or two, we can take a couple for next 2 to 3 minutes. We ran a little over time, so I want to be respectful. But if anybody has any questions, put them in the Q&A section right now, and we'll sit tight and allow that to happen for the next couple minutes.
While we're waiting, John, did your boys start football yet?
He must have
I-
you muted.
I think Congressman James had to hop off a little bit.
Oh.
I think he had responsibilities with his family this morning.
All right. Probably a football
Took-
game.
Yeah, he took him to
Probably.
football.
All right. Well, we don't have any questions in the chat, so I'm going to go ahead and end this Labor Day press call. Thank you guys so much. And if anybody has any follow-up questions, you know where to reach me. Have a great Labor Day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Victoria.
Thank you very much. Thank
You
you.
all.